Welcome, NFT NYC community. We will be in Times Square at the end of June, and I've done over 500 of these types of pre-event interviews since 2018. I'm excited to bring up next Carolina Coto and Carolina Coto. And she's the founder, the muse, and the master curator of Crypto Brujas. Her collection fuses photography, AI, and Web3 symbolism to build a truly magical community experience. And I'm excited to share a conversation with her. She has been a part of our community. This is not her first time with us, and this should be a fun time together. So I'd love to bring you up to the stage and to have a conversation with you. Good to see you again.
Thank you, GM Ian. Very grateful.
GM. Yes, I think we had you at the Attention Live booth. You got to do an interview with us last year, if I am remembering correctly. And how many? You've been with us at NFT NYC for how long? You've been with us for a couple of events, yes, or several?
Yes. It's been probably a few years, but ever since maybe 4 years I've been attending, and for the past few years I've been a speaker.
And what are you looking forward to this year? Is there anything that you're excited about sharing, whether it's your art or the talk you're giving, or seeing your peers, seeing your friends, seeing collectors? What is it that has you excited as you think about our event happening in just about a month from now?
NFT NYC is the leading global event of the year. It brings together people from everywhere around the world. Think of it as Colombia, Florida, Tokyo, Berlin. People fly all over the world to meet in the heart of New York City to speak about NFTs. And this has been happening since, I believe, 8 years. So it's truly an iconic moment for everyone in the community. And I think personally, I get very excited to see my friends, to see the art that this year will be exhibited at the community gallery. It's always, it's really unexpected, the art and the type of messages that you see. So I think that really is exciting, just walking through those screens. And I believe that this year there will be a different method of even connecting with the art. And I think some of the artists will be able to showcase what they have. NFT NYC has been developing the One Hub for the past year, which is a link or a platform for artists to really integrate all of their art. And so just coming to this moment of having all of that work done for the past year, and seeing the art is truly exciting.
So last year, I think when we did an interview with you, it was about what you're doing at Bruja or Bruja. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Forgive me. So tell me that was the thing that you talked with us about last year, and now you have the new project. Can you just tell us about? Is this one project, or is it a new one that's emerging? Tell us a bit about what you're working on and what you've been working on as an artist and a creative over the last couple of years.
Of course. So Bruja, and you said it pretty well, Ian. That sounded amazing.
Trying.
I love that. Thank you.
I want to be respectful.
For context, Bruja in Spanish means witch. And it's that conscious sound of the universe. So it's about that archetype of the Bruja. And earlier in the pandemic, it was a big inspiration for my art and my meditation. So I founded Bruja 5 years ago, but it wasn't until 4 years that the beginning of NFTs truly pushed me to create digital art. First in the form of a PFP collection in 2021 called Sacred Avatars. Later on, I joined Nifty Gateway, and I did a year of curations with Bruja, every change of the wheel, which was really a representation of what Bruja is and using photography and AI. And then 2023, I launched Crypto Brujas. 2024, which is, like you described, a collection of photos with AI background animation. Those are 1111 Crypto Brujas. And very innovative because the use of metadata was really done intentionally to credit the subject of the photography. In this case, I've been a model for many years. So I found an issue that was never having to credit the subject in photography. We don't really know who the are. And so this happens in traditional work in photography, but in the blockchain, we have the ability to use the metadata creatively. And so that led me to start working with my One Hub, which is the platform provided by NFT NYC. And we began very early to use Base as the L2 to provide different NFTs to our members or users so that we could look into different ways of creating engagement. And so one of the ways was through the podcast that was released, how to make it fun. So we created something called proof of viewership. And so you would watch the podcast and then you would be able to collect a proof of viewership NFT. Now, the difference between, like Ethereum L1 or let's say Base is that the cost it's much cheaper to create NFTs. So we can use NFTs in a very radical way to transform and to create even platforms. So what happened in the event of a year was that we went from creating, proof of viewerships and proof of attendance, NFTs that would create engagement, to what I would say is the dream platform that I just launched on beta about actually a week ago. So yeah, it's been busy.
Talk with me a bit about culture. NFT NYC is a global event. It's a global community, but it happens in New York. We did London one year, but again, that's kind of a Western culture and English culture. A lot of the marketplaces, a lot of the exchanges, a lot of the, leaders that are NFT makers and AI companies that, artists might leverage. A lot of the collectors are kind of Western English speaking. Have you found that the industry has been welcome to you and other, people that are, Latinx? Has it felt very welcoming? Has it felt very inclusive in that regard? I know a lot of times women in the industry get asked about like, what's it like to be a woman in NFT space? But I want to know more specifically, what has your experience been like being, Latin coming into the space? Your name is pronounced Carolina. Your name that you use for your companies is well known in your culture. And so you're bringing that well-known name, which is Witch, into this environment, but people aren't familiar with it. I'm even asking, like, how do you say it? Is it Bruja? So can you just give me a little insight in terms of, have there been challenges based on that, or have you felt like this has been a very welcoming environment? And I'm not sure what you're going to say, so I'm very curious.
Yeah, I think, so I grew up in Costa Rica, and I've always been, I think my generation, and I think we're coming into this world that feels very multicultural. I think the nature of the internet is multi-stakeholder. So you cannot have the internet operate if you don't have different actors operating, because then the internet will never work. I feel like the blockchain is the same. If you don't have different actors from different countries, from different cultures, from different backgrounds, it will never work. It's just the nature of how the internet works. And it's also the nature of biodiversity. For you to have an ecosystem of any kind, you need diversity. So that's how pretty much any ecosystem grows. And I personally have been very, very grateful, because I will say it is challenging, yes. So it hasn't been like a walk in the park, it isn't. And for different reasons. One, it moves very fast. So just being able to keep up with the changes and rapidly adapt. I think there's little space to complain. I think you complain, you already lost on where we're going. So I feel like, to me, that's very exciting, to be in such a rapid pace. But I think with the people, just like any space that's disruptive, that's new, if you have the passion to do this, if you're really passionate about, storytelling or disruption of technology, or if you're a creator, then you're inevitably going to be connected with people that resonate, and you will find people that will understand what you're doing. And that's really what happened to me. Like on Nifty Gateway, it was not easy to start because it was a curated platform. But as soon as I started launching my collections there, I was seen by collectors that looked at my work and were extremely interested to learn more about what that meant, right? So, all this culture I provide, imagine a collector, they don't have to travel anywhere. They can just read and collect a piece of art and have all this knowledge from an artist that maybe they would have never seen otherwise. So, I think it's been definitely a challenge, but it's our duty. We have to leave our mark. And I think for me it's a responsibility, and I feel deeply committed to the mission. So I'm happy.
How important are technology partners, and how have you found relationships to change? You mentioned that you were really early with Base. Base has obviously become like the important L2 of today. I imagine that you mentioned Nifty Gateway, but I imagine there's been times where you've been really excited about other, marketplaces as well. I found over the years, I was one of the first to interview Alex and Devin from OpenSea back in 2018. I think I was the first to ever interview the Koch Foster twins before the Winklevoss twins acquired Nifty Gateway. And there's a lot of people that were launching these different L2s and these different, partner infrastructures. And it's been interesting to see, like, they're so loved. Like, I remember one of the artists that I love, Josie Bellini, at one point early on, she sent a message to OpenSea co-founder, hey, someone just sent me money independently. They just sent it to my wallet. Where do I send you the 2.5%? So like early on, Josie was so grateful to have OpenSea as a marketplace that the thought of somebody sending her money directly for something, she like literally wanted to pay OpenSea because of their place in the market. And then as time went on, there were some concerns around decisions that OpenSea's team had made, and she was vocal about her frustration with it. And then later on, they launched version 2, and now there's like, well, maybe there's light at the end of the tunnel. And I've seen these things kind of come and go, right? Jesse and his team launched Base, and there's like some enthusiasm and some criticism, and then it goes through its journey, and the excitement goes up and down, and now it's kind of at peak, and we don't know what's ahead. So can you talk with me about technology partners, how your relationship and how your peers and community's relationship has changed with them over time, and how do you stay faithful and true and have integrity to take care of yourself and your community, but also acknowledge that you do have some dependency on layer 2s, on NFT creators, on AI tools, on marketplaces. And so how does that all play into your role as a master curator, founder, and artist?
Thank you, Ian. I love that question. I think that question is a very thoughtful, very mindful question for a lot of people in this space. I'm sure I'm not the only one, that has to go through this. So I appreciate that. I personally come from a background of being an internet advocate. So I have been a fellow of the Internet Society, which is a nonprofit that very early started the internet. So I was very early in the beginning of Ethereum, actually, as deployment. I supported a team of developers here in New York in 2015. And prior to that, since 2011, I was going to the Internet Governance Forum, which is a forum of, where we discuss the internet and governance of the internet. And that's 2010, 2011. So that's many years ago. And the reason I bring this up is because that is my perspective. I think that it's very important to understand how the internet works so that you can really so people can see what platforms, what their responsibility is, what their roles are in the ecosystem, right? The internet truly is for everyone. And I think one of the reasons that I found Base so compelling and such a great partner is that they are using the internet playbook, right? And so they're looking to be decentralized. They are working for interoperability. So those are tasks that I believe firmly we need to implement for chains to work across easily and for the technology to be reached to billions of people, because
Yeah.
we are very early, but we need to bring this to people. And so to disrupt that, that's one of the things I pay attention. What is their long-term vision? What are they building for, and why are they building, and to whom, right? So when I hear like we want to bring on chain to billions of people, of course that's something very ambitious, but that's something that I'm curious to learn more about. And I think with Base, what I've seen and what I'm very excited about is that they have been working on allowing their documents to be pretty accessible and digestible for everyone. So of course, developers is usually like the first wave of people, but they've been doing a really good job at also providing workshops and education so that code is available for people to build different platforms. So right now we're looking at mini apps, which are versions of apps on chain. On Bruja, we just joined a build-a-thon, which was about 3 weeks, and we created the Astrology by On Bruja mini app. So it's an app that you can look into inside of Farcaster if you're using Farcaster, or you can just simply go to, in our case, is app.ombruja.com. And we're using tools like MiniKit, which is code that it's provided by Base. So when I look at a company that's providing tools and an ecosystem to disrupt the way that the internet is working and to create new markets and platforms, then you understand that their vision is long-term. It's, and a lot of founders, I understand they can come and go, like you mentioned, right? There's ups and downs. But I think we have to go through the FOMO, and we have to go through the hype and really look at the strategy. Okay, where are they going and why? And then find your place in that community. I mean, for me, it's Base, but it could be anyone else, for anyone that's watching.
Well, then, when it comes to, like, for me, it's Base. And there was a time when people said, for me, it's Polygon. And there's a lot of people that are like, Ethereum forever. And then people switch over and they're like, no, I'm all in on Solana. No, I'm all about Bitcoin ordinals. Or they have their thing. And then times change. So what is it that a platform provider like Base does to attract the sense of partnership and loyalty? Because there's a lot of things that Jesse and his team can bring to the table, right? They can bring great technology, great UI, UX. They can bring the background that Coinbase is the one that's behind it. They can bring foundation grants. They can bring introductions. Like they can. So there's a lot of things they can do.
So weird. It keeps muting me.
The producer said it's so weird it keeps muting. I hear Carolina.
I hear you.
And I think she hears me. So we're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
But we love hearing your voice, Mr. Producer. Thank you for jumping in and joining us. So my question to you is this: how is loyalty created? It's a two-way street. You build loyalty to a platform, an L2 like Base, the community that Base has. They build loyalty to you. They start to make things nice for you and your community. And then how do you maintain that? Because things more easily fracture than they come together. Right? You can build loyalty and trust and connection, and then it just takes one misunderstanding or paranoia going too far or something, and all of a sudden it fractures it. So talk to me a bit about the rhythms of creating partnership, maintaining partnership, please.
Yes. Yeah, that's also a really great question. And I think to your point, first of all, I think I'm a big advocate of interoperability, right? So I wouldn't say like I'm using Base currently and I am building on Base, and I will explain why. But I think that when we look at the future of the internet, interoperability means that we can exchange the use of blockchain seamlessly, right? Because liquidity is going to go through different blockchains. So that's just the nature of the blockchain. Like right now, some people are in Solana, then you got to go to Bitcoin, then you got to go to Base, and that's why does that happen? Sometimes it happens because a lot of these founders, artists, or platforms reach a place where they have like a blockage where they're like, okay, this is all. There is no more like market share for me here, right? So they're sort of forced to navigate through different blockchains, and that is completely natural. And eventually it's going to be easier to be able to do that, to swap and to move from one place to another, right? As we grow. But I think as we scale to that place where we can do those kind of interactions, loyalty happens from, I would personally say, one, the people. We can be building great technology, but if it's really the people that are behind and the decisions that they're making. And Jesse is an extraordinary leader. He's really doing incredible things. He's extremely relatable. I think that's very important. And he shares his journey. He empowers builders, and it's Jesse, and it's a group of other people. Head of builder Jaren. We have Zen, who's head of community, head of builder Zen. So I mean, everyone that you meet at Base, it's an authentic, genuine person. And I think to me, it's always about the people. Same with NFT NYC. Like, it wasn't because of the team, if it wasn't because of you, if it wasn't because of everyone, the artists, like, it's about the people. It's about their vision. It's about their energy. It's about how they make you feel. It's about waking up and reading something and you're like, okay, let's go. Especially if you're in different places, but you still feel that energy, right? Of we got to keep going. We got to keep building. I think that optimism is truly what brings the community together and what keeps us loyal, like feeling like we're elevated, we're together. And of course, it has to be tangible. There has to be opportunities that allow for people to grow, like realistic opportunities. Otherwise, it's just it's noise. But I think that's what's probably happening at this point. And I look forward to hopefully every chain and everyone, bring the world on chain. It's going to take a lot of people. So I think if we work together rather than separating ourselves inside of the community, we're going to get there faster, and we're going to be able to see incredible art and platforms, and who knows what else we can create.
I intuitively get the sense that in a month, when we all gather in Times Square, that old partnerships and relationships are going to be rekindled. So I'll make it personal. When Jody and Cam came to my event, the Future of Blockchain, in 2018, it was at Twitter. I was doing all these Future of AI, Future of Blockchain events in Twitter's headquarters. And they came and then they talked to me about NFT NYC, and they said Alex and Devin from OpenSea wanted to do it. And so we got it going, and it was a really fun ride. In 2019, 2021, 22, I was like all about just doing this, like interviewing people, emceeing the stage, and being a part of the community. When we got to, London, I started like kind of doing more of my own thing. But we got to 23, and especially last year, last year I had 20 people with me and a big booth, and it was just kind of like all about doing my own thing. And I told Jody and Cam and LJ and Michael and the rest of the team this year, I said, I do not want to do my own thing this year. I want to get back to the roots, right? Alex and Devin's team at OpenSea are coming. I don't know if Alex is still there, but certainly Devin's still running it. Devin's coming back with OpenSea. Let's go back to what we all started together. Let's go back to that like organic community where it was all about us coming together once a year. And so that was just my personal desire. Like, I wanted to not come with 20 people. I don't want to have a big booth. I don't want to make it all about one or more.
Technical glitches that are happening live in real time.
We hear you, Xiao. You sound great. And so this year I wanted to make it all about like back to what we once had. And my belief is that there is an ethos happening in our industry right now where what once became strained or fractured or distant because of time maybe this is a moment where things are going to come back together. And, for you, Carolina, and for myself and many of our friends, how many relationships, partnerships, and things have we put seeds in the ground and watered, but we never were able to harvest. They never were able to harvest. Nothing came of all that energy. And I just am hopeful and expectant that this is a time where a lot of these things that maybe were stillbirths we can have a new life and have, something birthed once again. And so that is my hope for you and I. And that is my hope for anyone in our community that is watching us live or sees this later today or later next week or whatever it is. And we thank you for your attention. Before we wrap up, Carolina, I want to just encourage people to follow you at CarolinaCoto. And Carolina, is there anyone or anything that you want to mention before we wrap up and end this momentarily until we get to be together again next month?
Well, definitely everyone at NFT NYC, Joey, Cameron, LJ, everyone, the team is incredible. They're just such a supportive force for artists and for builders and for founders. You know, it's, and yourself, everyone, you know, back in, thank you for hosting. This is, I think, amazing. And I love your optimism, your closing as to like, we are building something that we want to be bigger than ourselves. And so to remember that it isn't really about ourselves, right? It's about, I know you have kids as well. And, you know, there's this new generation coming through. So just to look at, you know, those new generations, we're building a new internet for them and for who comes after. So just very grateful to be a little piece of sand out of this big ocean and that we got moving, and very excited to see you in New York.
Yes, I am as well. Thank you so much for joining me. We're at the half-hour mark, so I should be respectful to the next guest and also release you. I only asked you for a short period of time. Thank
no
you for
worries.
jumping in.
It's been a delight.
It always is. It always is. I look forward to seeing you next month in Times Square. And until then, have a wonderful time. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.